Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, pepperoni. When is a pepper just not a pepper? When it's a Neapolitan stuffed pepper, that's when. And today I want to make a nice, really beautiful Neapolitan stuffed bell pepper recipe for you. And these are absolutely delicious because in Naples, right down here, and they put various fillings in them today. Today I'm going to do one that has eggplant and mozzarella cheese, some of those wonderful ingredients that come from that particular area of Italy. So you want to start with getting yourself some nice bell peppers. You can use red, yellow, green if you want, orange. And then you need to char them. So you can do that several ways. You can put the peppers whole, just like this, on your grill and just blacken them till they're blackened all over, blistered. Or you could put them on a bake sheet, stick them under the broiler in your oven. So then you let them cool, and then you want to take off all of that charring. Because what you're going to do is leave the pepper whole, but you have to take the seeds out so that you can roll the pepper with the stuffing. So you just remove all of this black stuff, trying not to tear the pepper too much. And then with a paper towel, I like to take the seeds out. So I'm going to yank that out, put that aside. And all this stuff that I'm taking off, I put in my compost. Yeah, I don't waste anything. So I can use the compost in my garden next year to grow peppers. Take that pepper and just open it up like this, see? You want to keep it together because you're going to be stuffing it. And then don't rinse the pepper. People make that mistake. They rinse the pepper and they rinse all of the flavor away. So instead, just take a paper towel and wipe out the seeds. You may have to vacuum afterwards, but that's all right. So you take out those seeds with a paper towel. So if you start rinsing them underwater, you're just going to take away a lot of the flavor. And so what if there's a couple seeds left in it? You've eaten worse things than the seeds in peppers. Okay, so once it's like that, once you've got them like that, then you can set them aside and work on the filling. It's going to be an eggplant and cheese filling with capers and olives, things that you would find in companion cooking. So get yourself some eggplant. If you can find the thin Japanese ones, they're even better because they have less seeds. So then you want to trim it and peel it. So just take the skin off. Sometimes I don't even do this, but today I'm going to take the peel off. You want to take the peel off, and then we're going to cut this up because we're going to put it in some peanut oil. I learned to cook eggplant in peanut oil one year when I was in Sorrento in a cooking class with a chef who said, oh, you don't want to use olive oil because that's just too heavy for eggplant. You want to use peanut oil. So peanut oil we are using, and you can find peanut oil in the grocery store. So there's our eggplant, melanzane in Italian. When they're large, you see, they are seedy. They're very seedy. So what you can do here is you can scrape some of the seeds out, or you can salt the eggplant and leave it in a colander for a while until you see some of the water coming out of it, and then you can cut it, rinse it and cut it. So we're just going to cut this up. And put that in a bowl. And you know why vegetables grow so beautiful in Campania? Well, think about it. What is near Naples that is always reminding people of something? Think about it. What is near Naples? Did you say Vesuvio? Well, you would be correct, because Mount Vesuvius, when it erupts, gives off all of this ash, and over the centuries it has. And what has that done to the soil? That's created some really rich looking soil. So there's our eggplant. Now we're going to cook that in peanut oil. So this is a much lighter oil than olive oil. So it's going to keep the eggplant lighter. But one thing to know about eggplant, it is notorious for absorbing oil. It's like a sponge. So if you see that the pan is running dry a little bit, you can always add a little bit more, but you don't want to overdo it. So get the pan hot. We're going to let this go and give this a little bit of salt. We'll correct the seasonings later on as well. So some salt and some pepper. And we really want this to cook down until the eggplant has a little color on it and it's soft. You see how much this eggplant has now cooked down. That's because all of the water has been exuded out of it. And it's got a nice little color to it. So it's going to add really great flavor for the filling. So now we can take this out into a bowl. It's very creamy looking. That's what you're looking for, a little bit of color and creaminess. All right. Now we can put the filling together. So there it is. So now we want to let that cool down a little bit while we flavor that. So what are we going to flavor it with? Well, let's talk about that. Put this over to the side here so you can see. Here we have some capers. Capers are the kind of flower bud of a plant that grows in the Mediterranean. It has a kind of a sour taste to it. And Italians like to use it in a lot of different things, especially in Sicily they use this a lot. So we want about a tablespoon of capers. So we're going to put capers in. Now you can buy capers in salt, you can get capers in brine. If you get capers in brine, just drain them and use them. If you get capers in salt, you're going to have to rinse them and make sure that all the salt is off. Then we have some oil-cured olives, and all we did was pit them. And you can buy oil-cured olives in a jar in the grocery store, or sometimes you find them in an open salad bar. So we're going to add that. That's going to add beautiful flavor. Black oil-cured olives. This recipe is on the Ciao Italia website, and it comes from my latest book, by the way. And then we have some plum tomatoes, because wow, at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, plum tomatoes are the best. So we're going to add those. This is going to be enough filling for about 8 peppers, 8 beautiful looking peppers. And then we want some fresh basil. Again, something that comes right from that region. So get yourself some fresh basil leaves. You need maybe 1/4 cup minced at most. So these are very tender. This is from my friend Donazia's garden. So she stole it from her husband, so I hope he's not going to notice that we took the basil from him. But anyway, you want to just give that a mince. And actually, these stuffed peppers, pepperoni imbottiti is sometimes what they're called, can be a whole meal in themselves. They're because of the fillings. And sometimes the Neapolitans like to use meat fillings. But the idea of just stuffing peppers in the first place comes from using leftovers. So whatever leftovers there were, if it was bread, if it was cheese, it was a little bit of salumi or some sort of meat, they would just put it all together and then they would stuff peppers. So now we're adding the basil to this. And let's give that a little bit of a mix. Look at how pretty this is looking now. I'm telling you, my friend Larry, who does dishes for us on Ciao Italia, told me something yesterday that really just hit home. He said, you know, Italian food is so pretty. And he's absolutely right. So we're going to mix that. And now we're going to add some fresh mozzarella cheese. Another product that comes from Campania. Yeah, we're staying right there south. So this is just 1 ball of mozzarella cheese that we have just cut up in little pieces. See? So we're going to add that. That goes in. And then we want some bread, so you can use stale bread for this. So any bread that you have left over, I usually just keep it in a bag in the freezer, and then I use it when I need it for whatever recipe I'm making. So just bread that you have lightly toasted in some olive oil and then diced up, see, like this. So you want to add some bread that acts as a binder for this. And mix that in. And while you're doing that, of course, the bread was going to absorb these other flavors from the tomatoes and the olives and the capers. Okay, that's looking good. So now we can clear the decks, fill the peppers. So just brush the bowl, the dish rather, with olive oil. See? Okay. Then here are our peppers. So this recipe will serve 8 easily, maybe even more, depending on the size of your pepper. So they're laid out flat. We took all of the skin off, as you saw. And now we can take some of this mixture and put them right in the pepper, see, just like that. Don't overstuff them because they'll split. So just, a couple heaping tablespoons, and then gently, gently roll them. If they split while you're doing this, don't worry, you can always fix it in the bowl. So there is one. And we're going to put something on top of that before we bake them. And here's our, they're very delicate, so you got to be careful here. So here's our second one. Oh my God, I have enough filling for an army. Again, just roll them gently. There's 2. Let's move this one over here. When I was in Campania a couple years ago, I took some people to cooking classes with me, and we were always mindful of Vesuvius. Wherever we went, we could see Vesuvius just looming there in the background. And it reminded me that this volcano is going to go again one of these days. But the Italians, they have, the Neapolitans particularly, they have a very fatalistic view of life, but they live every day. They don't worry about when Vesuvius is going to go next. They just go about their business, and they'll deal with it somehow. Here's the next one. And your oven is going to be on at 350. And these are going to bake uncovered for about 25, 30 minutes. You're going to notice that they've collapsed some. And then that's when you can serve them. Either you can use this, as I say, as a main course, or this could be a first course, really. Beautiful. And for people who aren't meat eaters, who are not big meat eaters, this would be perfect. So you see, this pepper has a few holes in it, so you just kind of have to patch. Not every pepper is going to be perfect. So just use your smarts and just play with it. There's this. That one's a big one. That one's for me. All right, so now we have them all in our bake dish. So now the next thing we have to do is combine some breadcrumbs. So here we have some fresh dried breadcrumbs. About a cup, I would say, depending on how many peppers you're doing. And here is a half a cup of grated Parmigiano Reggiano, right here. Remember, that's that cow's milk cheese that comes from Emilia-Romagna and has such a wonderful flavor when it's young, and then as it ages, it's great for grating. So we're going to mix the cheese and the breadcrumbs together, and we're going to top the peppers with this, then give this a little bit of olive oil, and in the oven they go. So sprinkle this right over the top. Yeah. Very pretty. I want to give it enough topping so that it's going to get crusty looking. Depending on the size of the peppers too will determine how much of this you use. Okay, that's looking good. And now a drizzle of olive oil. Oven's on, 350. Here we go. Timer, 30 minutes. On to Pepperonata. So Pepperonata is a casserole of sorts. It starts again with peppers. So here we have a beautiful pepper. Remember I showed you how to take the skin off by blackening them, either in your broiler oven, or you can do this on the grill. And you want about 2.5 pounds assorted. You can use yellow, red, green. So there they are. And what we want to do with this now is just put this in a little bit of olive oil. So we're going to cook these until they soften a little bit, because they actually sweeten as they cook. And then we are going to add some other ingredients to them. Here we have some little onions. You can use either the cipollata onions from Italy if you can find them. Sometimes you can find them in the grocery store. If you can't, you can use little white boiling onions like these. You could use marinated onions if you couldn't find the cipollata. You could also use frozen little onions, defrosted. And here we have some plum tomatoes in strips. Really, that's all there is to it. So let's cook the peppers first. So we have a little olive oil in our pan. And now we're going to add the peppers. They're in strips. Lower that heat a little bit. Give them some salt and pepper. I like a lot of pepper with this. Salt. And then the tomatoes. So now you have a combination of textures, because the tomatoes don't cook very long. So they're a little firmer than the peppers. You want those to cook down some. It's a really great dish to have with crusty bread. And then those onions. Fast and easy, tasty, but that's the beauty of cooking Italian regional foods. It's the simplicity and it's the quality of the ingredients. So now we're just going to let that cook down until those tomatoes wilt down some, and that dish is ready. Here's a simple Sicilian pepper salad. You want to start with some garlic, and here's my trick for garlic when you have to mince it. Take a couple cloves, or however number you're using, and just sprinkle some salt over them. Then go shopping or something, come back 20 minutes later, and you'll be able to chop it. And you see what's happened here? If you look on my board, you see that liquid that's been coming out of the garlic that I chopped after I had the salt on it. So now it makes it almost creamy. See, almost creamy. And that's going to blend very well with this salad. So there is a tip on garlic. So once we have that, I'm going to put the garlic right here now because I have to do something else. But you see that water that came out of there just from adding salt to 2 cloves of garlic. So for this salad, I said it's Sicilian, and that means mint. Yes. So here we have some fresh mint leaves. And all we want to do is mince those with that garlic. This is just a nice, refreshing salad in the summer, and all we did to the peppers was char them like we did for the pepperonata and the stuffed peppers. Took the skins off and then cut them into strips. See? So there they are. So you can use a variety of peppers, yellow, red, green, whatever you would like. And then this simple dressing is really going to make those peppers sing. And I especially like this on a really hot day when you don't want to heat up the oven too much, so I would do the peppers on the grill in this case. And then I make this early in the day because if you let the flavors mingle somewhat, really, really better. Then you get some crusty Sicilian bread, some semolina bread, or you get a ciabatta, and you mop up the juices of the salad with the bread. So there's our combo of garlic and mint. And that's going to go right in there. In it goes. And I'm not going to give it too much more salt because there's salt on that garlic. I'll just do a little. And then we want some extra virgin olive oil. Toss those peppers with all this mixture. Beautiful. And then, because in Sicily, one of the underlying flavors is something called agrodolce, sour and sweet at the same time. We want to add the sweetness part. And the sweetness part could be just red wine vinegar, white balsamic vinegar, or let me make a royal room for this, because I was telling you about the peppers I did earlier from Naples. You see, I went to the Cantina del Vesuvio, and I bought this special red wine vinegar. It's very, very syrupy. So just because you're here, and this is my prized vinegar, I don't use this for everybody, I'm just going to do a little syrupy dollop of this vinegar. You don't need much because it's very, very concentrate. And that's the sweet part. So this is Sicilian pepper salad with mint and garlic and Mary Ann's prized vinegar from Vesuvio. You say pepper, I say pepperoni, because today we worked with pepperoni, peppers in Italian. And we went right to Campania and then to Sicily to do some classic dishes. And here we have the Pepperonata. Remember, the sweet peppers with the tomatoes and the small onions with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. It makes a great side dish. And then the classic Neapolitan pepperoni imbottiti, which means stuffed peppers. And here we grilled the peppers first, took off the skins, laid them out flat, and then filled them with a filling of eggplant and capers and mozzarella cheese and breadcrumbs. And then we put them in a pan and bake them in the oven. They're perfect as a first or second course. And then here, one of my all-time favorites, the Sicilian mint and pepper salad with garlic and mint, extra virgin olive oil, and of course, my secret vinegar from Vesuvio. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao! Need a gelato? Here's the place to come. And there are all kinds of flavors. My favorite, of course, is cioccolato, but tiramisu looks good. How about, oh, grapefruit looks nice, frutta di bosco, melone, all made by hand. Can't resist. We're going down there, okay. That book is heavy. Which one? Oh, with the